I'm so nervous about my class, Amanda. I'm like not gonna rest.
How else can I help you? How else can I help you?
Hi everyone! I just wanted to talk about my experience so far with VIPKID. So I'm kind of still reeling from all the first impressions, and I wanted to tell you 5 tips that I think might help you if you're feeling a little anxious before you teach your first class. So congratulations on passing the interview process. And if you're just watching this video to see if you want to do it, I hope that this helps you decide whether you think it's a good fit for you or not. Let's just get into it. One of the first things that I wish I knew before I taught my first class is that if it's a trial, the student may not show up. And it kind of freaked me out at first because I realized I didn't know what to do when the student didn't enter the classroom. And I didn't want to do something wrong, so I was just sitting there like, oh, what do? I feel like I should stay and at least like sit here and wait for the whole class time to expire. And I sat there, you know, like smiling because I didn't want the student to come in and see me like on my phone texting or like having a conversation with someone else. So I kind of just like sat there for like the first 10 minutes like waiting. And then I realized I should probably just look up on the VIPKID website like how they handle students not showing up. And I found the answers. So if the student doesn't show up for the trial class, in particular, trial class only, you have to stay in the class for 15 minutes. So stay in the classroom, do not exit, wait for the timer to reach 15 minutes, and then you can exit the classroom. When you're exiting, it'll show a little questionnaire and say like, why are you exiting? It's only been 15 minutes. And you can write like, student no show. And then I'm not sure how they review the student no-shows, but I noticed pretty soon after when I was looking at my bookings that I had, next to that class it said student no-show, and it was properly logged into the system as such. And when you have a student no-show in a trial class, you still get paid 50%. So I got paid half the amount I would have gotten paid had the student showed up. It's a little different for the like major course classes, which are the usual 25-minute lessons. If the student doesn't show up for that, you still have to wait in the classroom for the full 25 minutes. So wait for the full class to expire, then exit and write that it was a student no-show. In those cases, you will still receive 100% of what you would have normally gotten, so you'll still get paid for that class as if the student showed up. But you do have to wait for the full 25 minutes to expire, then exit the classroom. The second thing is class feedback. So you want to write this as soon as possible. It is absolutely required that you write feedback for every single class when you've completed it within 12 hours, or you start losing pay. So if you do it within 12 hours, cool, good job, you'll get your full payment, bada bing, bada boom. If you write the feedback between 12 and 24 hours, you will get paid, but you'll only get paid 50%, so half of what you would have normally gotten paid because you wrote the class feedback a little bit later. And then if it's over 24 hours after the class and you still haven't written the feedback, they will not pay you. You'll get 0. So write that feedback. And for the assessments, the feedback is a little bit longer. You do have to kind of like grade their assessment. So it'll go through each question and ask you how the student did. And if the student was able to like read the question, answer the prompt, understood the vocabulary, could unscramble the words, like whatever the question was, it'll ask you like, was the student able to perform? And you'll answer accordingly. And then you'll have the comment section where you write like however much you want to write. I write a few sentences about what the student did well, what he should practice for the next time, and yeah, like say and say like, we had fun today, so nice to see him in class, or see her in class, I hope I see you again soon. So that's pretty easy. I just mentioned assessments, which brings me to my third point. My first class teaching was an assessment, and I was not really prepared for that. It kind of freaked me out. I was like, what is an assessment? I've been practicing lesson plans and like teaching actual like vocabulary and sentence structures and words, so it was kind of freaking me out that was my first one. They don't teach you that in the demo, and they don't teach you that when they interview you. It's always like a normal lesson. So I called my friend Amanda and I'm freaking out. I'm here all night.
This is a crisis! Sean did it. He was not a person that was excited about it. He's like the best teacher. teacher ever.
I'm not gonna be like Sean.
She's the one that referred me to VIPKID. Shout out Amanda. I love you. Thank you. And I was like, oh my gosh, I have an assessment. It's my first class. I got booked for something. Ah! And she's like, it's okay, don't worry. The assessment's actually easier because you don't have to teach them new material. You're basically reviewing material that they've already been taught before by someone else, and you're just making sure that they've retained that information and that they have learned it. So it's actually, it goes by a lot more quickly than you would expect. Like I looked at the number of slides and I was like, oh my God, how am I gonna teach 47 slides when all the other lessons that I've been practicing and have taught are like 20 something? How am I gonna do double the amount of slides in the same time frame? But don't worry, because it goes by much more quickly because the student already knows the material. They're basically reviewing it. So they will know it. They've seen it all before. So I was surprised at how quickly we were going through the slides myself, because the student would be like apple, ball, blue, yellow, that slide's done. And some of the slides are literally just to say like level 1, level 2, level 3, or they're reward slides, which just shows the progress of the student on this map. So they're not actually things that need any sort of activity or any sort of any sort of explanation or learning. So those go through very quickly. And honestly, at the end, I felt like we had extra time at the end because the student went through them so quickly, which I didn't expect because it was like 47 slides, and I thought we wouldn't get through it all. But we reached the end. I asked them like if we went over some number stuff, or we went over the word like how old are you or something like that. I would bring it back up at the end and like do some more engagement that way with something relating to stuff that they were taught and the stuff that pertains to the lesson. I did that at the end a little bit to kill time. So think of things to say. They can be related to the unit. You could have a prop handy, like a stuffed animal, so you can fill that space. And if you get stuck, just remember the stuff that you've gone over in the assessment, and you can just double back and keep discussing those topics, because the whole point of the assessment is to know that they understand those topics. Be prepared to have to fill some space at the end if the student has just whipped through that assessment really quickly. You can do it. Number 4 is parents. I've only taught a few classes. 2 of them were trial classes. I was not expecting the parent to be there. Maybe I should have expected that because it's a trial, and it makes sense. Like if my kid was gonna be talking to a stranger on the computer, I would wanna know who this person is, what type of experience they're getting. Plus they're paying for their child to do this, so if I were them, I would do the same thing. I would wanna know what I was getting my child into. So the parent was like sitting next to the child, not exactly on screen, but not exactly off screen. And one of the students was really young. So she kind of kept like feeding him answers. Like when I was like, how old are you? She'd like be like, 5. And he would say like 5 to me, which is okay. It's like a little bit distracting, but I just remember you're there to teach the student. I noticed that if I use hand motions or like lots of TPR, like listen, how old are you? Like the more animated you are on this little screen, the more that the student will like be drawn to engaging with you, which is a good thing to do. Like use your hands a lot to get them to continue to speak to you instead of to their parent. And one thing I noticed is if the parent is like kind of feeding them words, but the parent doesn't have the best pronunciation, or the parent doesn't have the best grammar, and it's like it's a little bit incorrect, and the student is repeating it back like with a weird pronunciation, definitely correct the student. So if he's saying like 5, like fa, you can't just let that go. Like he's there to learn English. You want him to be speaking correct English. So if you hear him say that, you just repeat and say 5? 5. Good job. And like make sure you're correcting mistakes. The whole point of this is so that the student can speak proper English. So if you let a mistake go, it's kind of defeating the purpose of them taking this class. So the parent kind of made me feel worried. and I was a little bit surprised by that, so just want to give you a heads up. It happened for the 2 trial classes that I taught, so I think they're probably more likely to show up in a trial class because it's new. But we'll see if any more parents show up, and maybe the parent will learn something too, who knows, hey. And it will benefit everyone. It's a beautiful thing. Last thing is pacing. This was a little bit difficult for me to wrap my mind around in the beginning, but I just looked at the total number of slides, say for example 47 slides, just cut it in half, so around 3 or 24. Put that in my head, and I was keeping an eye on the countdown clock that they have in the classroom where they're counting how much time has elapsed since you started. The halfway point of a 25-minute class would be like around 12 minutes. So around 12 minutes, I would look at the clock and look at the number I was on in the slide, and if I was close to halfway through, I would just keep going at the same pace. If I was behind and I felt like I needed to catch up, I would just not do every single like extended question, and I wouldn't go over the same material that the student already demonstrated they understood from before, because sometimes stuff comes back up and repeats itself, like, who is this? Is it mom or dad? Like, if they understand the difference between mom and dad and they've demonstrated that to you, and then it comes up again on another slide where it's like just like reiterating mom and dad, you can just say like, who is this? And like circle the mom, like, who is this? Have them say, this is mom. Good job. They've already demonstrated they know it. Move on to something else so you can get through all the material. You got this. If you have extra time and you're ahead, just prepare to ask some questions, continue a conversation, like create a dialogue. I usually include the things that we discussed in the lesson or expand upon topics that we've already covered in the class. If there's time, you'll have a conversation, and normally that's really fun. So I actually, on my last class, I had a lot of fun talking to my student. She actually really wanted to talk to me and tell me about China and her family and what she eats and everything. And we really connected over food and having mutual food favorites like sushi. So that was actually really fun, and that was like the most rewarding part for me, or the most fulfilling part of all the lessons I've taught so far, was being able to build that connection with another human being. Because part of the anxiety that I had before I taught my first class was fearing the student, and I kept trying to remind myself, Emmy, don't be afraid of someone who is 8 years old and is trying to learn English from you, the expert. You are the English expert. Have confidence in the fact that you speak English and you know English and you can teach English. And these kids aren't sitting there waiting to judge you. They're not some big shot executive who's judging everything you do and say. They're children who want to learn from you, the expert English speaker, which you are. So have confidence in yourself, and remember that it's just another human being on the other side of the screen. So remember that they're not scary. Speaking with them and engaging with them builds rapport and creates a really good feeling in the environment. And that's all I have to say about that. Oh, one extra thing I want to mention is I've been recently going through the certifications to try and get certified, for example, trial class 3.0. And I didn't pass the first round of my mock demo 10-minute video class that I recorded. And one of the main reasons was my audio. I have Apple headphones that I use that have the little, what's it called? Speaker mic thing on the side. And that's what I normally use with teaching class and everything, but I forgot to put it on for my demo class, and they said they heard me shuffling that stuff around and it was distracting, and that I should get a proper headset, and they didn't pass me on that. And then I re-recorded it and used the headphones with the proper mic, and I passed. So remember to make sure your audio is the best it can be. The microphone really helps, because as they mentioned in my feedback, they could hear everything else going on around me, and when you have something closer to your mouth, it'll just give a much better experience for teaching. You can do it. I believe in you. If VIPKID passed you and hired you as a teacher, you're definitely capable of doing it. So don't doubt yourself. It's not scary, I promise you. It's just scary before you start. The scariest thing is all the anxiety and like scenarios you think of in your head, and it's the unknown, like fearing, what if this happens? What if this happens? What if this happens? Blah, blah, blah. It's all like the what ifs. Forget about it. You're gonna be fine, I promise you. And once you like make eye contact, like virtual eye contact through the video chat, you're just like, oh, we're gonna have a great time and we're gonna learn about mom and dad. So don't worry, you got this. And if you have any specific questions, just leave a comment and I will respond as fast as I can. If you have specific things you would want to see, like I could record myself doing like a demo mock trial 3.0, or the mock demo that you have to do to get hired in the interview process, or an assessment, how to go through the assessment slides. I would be happy to do that if you guys are interested. So just let me know, leave a comment, and I hope this helps. Good luck, you're amazing, have confidence in yourself, and I promise you that it's fun. Learning about someone who lives miles away, a really cool individual who's taking time out of their day to learn another language. It feels good to connect with someone that you otherwise would have never met. So yeah, that's everything that I have to say, and I hope that this helps you get rid of some anxiety before your first class. So congratulations on booking your first class, and if you haven't booked anything yet and you want to know more about what I did to get my bookings up, because I didn't book anything for like the first 4 months. Honestly, I didn't book anything for the first 4 months, and lately I've been booking stuff, and I think it's just because of the changes that I've made recently. So if you want me to make another video describing the things that I've done lately to get my bookings up, I would be happy to do it. Just let me know that you're interested. Okay. Cool. Thank you for watching, and good luck to everyone out there starting out. You should be proud of yourself for taking these steps, because it's hard to try something new and it's hard to put yourself out there like this. So keep being awesome. I'll see you in the next one. Bye.